Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the February 18th meeting of the Facility Committee. I call this meeting to order. All members are present. Mrs. Merrill, Mrs. May, and Mr. Helms. Next is the approval of the agenda. We need to delete 2D off the agenda. So I need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Motion to approve the amended agenda.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Next item is approval of the January 26th meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is the driver's ed vehicle purchases. This came to us last meeting, but it's coming back again. Mr. Burnett?
Yes, last month for information, we brought 5 Malibus that driver's ed wanted to purchase. They were below the threshold for Board of Education approval. They did have an opportunity that did come their way that they wanted to pursue, and so they prefer to have Impalas as opposed to Malibus. And so they're going with, this is a purchase of 6 Impalas. That's for $156,280. Happy to try to answer any questions.
It's out of driver ed funds, correct?
It is, yep. And finance is good with the purchase method, and they've got sufficient funds.
So the only question I had was when I was looking at the budget for last year, maybe I was looking at the wrong thing, but it appeared that we had budgeted for 7 vehicles. And I was just wondering, so last month we talked about 5, this month we're talking about 6.
So this would
And
be
the
a different
budget,
pot of money.
I thought said 7.
Right. So if you're talking CIP, that would have most likely been maintenance and vehicles and trucks. And
It was different than facilities.
yeah, we haven't had driver's ed vehicles appear on our CIP in the past.
Okay. What are the 7 vehicles under transportation? I can't
They're
hear.
transportation vehicles.
Okay, so that's different than driver's ed.
Yes.
Okay. So last month we talked about 5. Today we're talking about 6.
Yes.
What was the budget for?
Again, this is driver's ed money. They do have sufficient funds. I saw an
Okay.
email that showed what they think their balance is and some other options that were available.
And I guess this is not really a facilities thing. This just comes to us to be approved. Is that the idea? Or why doesn't this just go to finance to be approved? Because it really doesn't have anything to do with facilities.
Is it because we have to maintain them? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think you have nothing to do with these cars, right? These are the ones that sit at the schools, right?
That's right.
The high schools.
And we'll maintain them.
So
when they
shouldn't this
become
really
big.
go through finance instead of,
Facilities maintains them though, right?
Oh, you
I
do?
think
Okay.
I think just because the driver's ed department is working with facilities to help procure them, it's just coming through you all.
But
We
wait,
can do
you
it
said-
however you would.
we do or do not maintain, do you maintain them?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Facilities
I
does.
thought you said you had
Yes.
nothing to do with them. Okay, so I missed that. Okay. so that's
Facilities
fine.
does maintain them.
Okay,
So
that now it makes sense. Thank you. Okay, does anyone have any other questions? So I need a motion to approve or to send to the full board. This has to go to the full board, right?
It does.
To send to the full board, to approve the purchase of 6 new 2020 Chevrolet Impalas equipped with the Teen Safe brake system in the amount of $156,280.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Next is the Walter Bickett Stadium fence replacement.
We bid this out twice. We did receive a bid from Steve Medlin Construction at $115,875. This is above the budget. We do have a plan how we show how we cover the cost out of the same category, out of the same CIP. We can cover the $25,875 difference. We do want to proceed, with the work. So we're asking the Facilities Committee to recommend to the Board of Education to approve contracting with Steve Medlin Construction in the total amount of $115,875.
Have we used Steve Medlin Construction before?
Yes.
We have. And is the fence, we've had trouble getting fence parts in. Are they going to be able to, do we have any idea how long it's going to take? And can they get the fence?
So the answer is kind of probably yes to all of those. Certainly fencing pricing has increased, and it's increased significantly
Right.
here very recently. So that could also have to do with availability. But we certainly do expect that they will be able to get the material, we'll
Okay.
be able to get the parts.
Any other questions?
And I just want to confirm this was in the 2019 budget?
The 1920, yes.
Okay.
And this is the fence around the stadium at Walter Pickett.
The stadium, yeah.
Yeah, here's
Yeah, we
the
have an
Chain link and
attachment.
everything.
Picture of
So,
it.
yeah.
all the way around.
Yeah.
Anything else? I need a motion to recommend this to the full board. All those in favor? Aye. 4-0. Okay, so 2 items will go to the full board, the driver ed vehicle purchases and the Walter Pickett Stadium fence replacement. Okay, next up is the draft CIP. We got together in 2-on-2s to discuss the CIP, which originally started at $40-some million, $44.9 million. You should have received the document that we talked about in the 2-on-2s on what we could talk about not doing this year. So I think we need to focus on the 2022 year and what needs to be in it. So that's, I think we need to go back to that's the whole thing, right? Can we put up on the one that we just, that one?
Yes.
Thank you. I think we should start with that, the ones that we talked in 2-on-2s about. Is that good? And then we can go from there. Unless somebody has a better way to go about this. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this? About taking these off? I think we can go, we have a lot of, it's $44 million worth of stuff to look at, and we have to whittle it down to what 16.5 million is what we did last year. Does anyone have any issues with this or want to talk to to this? No? Okay. So we're good with that? So taking all that off takes out $20.7 million. So we still have about $8 million to go to get it down to 16.5. I think we should just start. Is that good, everybody? Just start going the list. The first one that I have is Cuthbertson High School. I think I talked to Mr. Burnett that there's 2 tracks that need replacement, Cuthbertson and Marvin. Marvin's is worse than Cuthbertson, correct? So I think we should do Marvin's this year and Cuthbertson's next year. Is everyone good with that? Are you guys good with? Okay. Okay, keep going. So Forest Hills has a lot of things on here. I thought maybe we could cut the replace concrete at stadium and gym and entrance for this year and move it to next year. Keep going. Okay. Hemby Bridge, storm drainage improvements. Could we hold off a year on that?
Unfortunately for that school, that's been a problem for a very, very long time. They've been living it, for the entire time the school's been there. So yes, it can continue to be pushed back.
Okay.
Well, because we do have a lot of other things that will get done there, right? The playground,
Chiller.
chiller, boiler.
Yep. So Indian Trail, I go to Kensington next. $100,000 to put into MCRs, and we would have to relocate the playground to do that. I think we have to wait for Mr. McKibben's report to us on Kensington to decide whether this is something we would have to do. How quickly can this get done? So is this something where so school ends in May this year. So we have all of June now, July, and most of August, right, to get stuff done this year. If we use money that, let's say we have sales tax refunds or anything, could this be done in that 3 month?
No.
No.
Just the mobiles themselves probably could not be done in 3 months. From a planning perspective, it would be better to have a 5 or even a 6 months just to get the approvals that are needed for that. And then at the same time, though, the playground can be moved and being relocated. So a good window would be 6 months. Anything less than that is compressed, and we would be trying to do what we could to make it happen.
6
So-
months from now? Sorry.
6 months from whenever we approve it, right?
Whenever we have the funding.
The funding for it. So the question is, can you move the playground in 3 months?
I would think so, yeah.
Because you can't have an elementary school without a playground.
Yeah, and of course we need to, we think we have a location for the new playground. I don't believe that it requires a great deal of, of work, to make that happen as far as preparing the site. So I think it could happen in 3 months.
Where would the new location be, do you think?
Well, for this concept, what we would be looking at is placing the mobiles where the large playground is. What we would, if you're familiar with that campus, the back of the school, you have a fire lane. I think what we were looking at is it would be, we'd have to adjust the fire lane, and it would be over behind the fire lane, closer to the bus parking lot.
So if you're looking straight at the school, would that be to the right?
Correct. I'm sorry. If you're looking from the front
Like-
door,
Yeah,
it would be to the left, because the playground's already on the left-hand side. It's already on the bus parking lot side of that half of the school.
You have to push
So it'd be on that same side.
push a button on your mic.
I'm sorry.
That's good.
And
Okay.
is 6 months including the
Okay.
plan for that?
6 months would be everything.
Okay. Could we go ahead and have a plan in place, and then if we decide to do it, just
Right.
knock it out?
So,
Sure, but we have to go through the
Yeah.
permitting
I
process.
think
Right.
it's permitting and all that, yeah. But
so here's the question, and we need to ask it. Because they already have 8 MCRs, and 2 more would bring them to 10. Why not put an addition on? Is it not possible because of the land that they're on, or is it just can't happen? Or can we address that a little bit?
So that would be a building solution. It'd be an expensive solution. We always look to see, are there non-building solutions available, to us from a cost perspective, from a long-term perspective. Also, how big do we want an elementary school to be? So this school, of course, as every school has limitations as far as number of bathrooms, the cafeteria size, the gymnasium size, those types of things. So the fundamental question is how big
So
do we
putting
want
it in-
this to be?
Okay. But we already have 8 mobiles or soon to be 10 mobiles. All we would be doing was replacing mobiles with brick and mortar. So you already have the issues with cafeteria and the gymnasium and all that in place.
Yeah, I would say that they may not be ideal, and I'm sure they're less than ideal. And so, yes, can you accommodate it? Or are we accommodating it? Yes. Is it the best situation? Probably no.
Okay.
And is it, again, as far as a non-building solution, again, you can always look at other schools in the region, and do we have capacity elsewhere? And is
Right.
that something we want to pursue?
I think we have to look at everything, but we need to look at Dr. McKibben's
Very much.
projection of what Kensington's going to look like.
That's key.
Because I understand it would be expensive to put an addition on, but at some point when you start having that many MCRs or whatever, but I will say that other school districts have lots of MCRs at their schools and it's not that big of a deal. So I can go either way, but I just wanted to because people have asked me, why don't we just put another addition on it to get rid of it? And I just wanted to have the conversation. It is very landlocked, the school,
Right.
and that has issues. So,
Yeah, and the land actually falls off a bit, like behind that addition that you see,
right.
heading, which is east. It does fall off on the grade. And really where the mobiles are too, it does fall off. Keep moving up, north on the page, and that's where the playground is. And the one that's closest to the mobiles is the one that would be relocated. And that's where the cursor is where we would be proposing, if there were any mobiles, that's where they would go. It makes for a double-loaded sidewalk, essentially, and it's good proximity to the current restrooms in the school.
And so where would the playground be moved to?
Yeah, if you could, Dan, if you could move that cursor up towards Kensington Road, probably in that, there or there, yes.
And is that fenced in?
We would fence it in if it's not.
That's a little ways away from the school. Ugh.
Well, for perspective, and not that they use
What?
this all the time, but to the south is their field.
Exercise.
And it is a hike, but there you go. That is, again, for perspective, that's where their
Okay.
field is that they play on.
Okay. That gives us an idea. We just need to hear from Dr. McKibben. Okay.
So are we recommending that we take the 99 off for now until we get that information?
Or do we leave it on until we get the information? I'm either way.
Okay.
I would leave it as a question mark. Okay. Monroe, what's next? Monroe High School, renovate the auxiliary gym and add HVAC to the auxiliary gym. I would like to pull that off. I think that all of our high schools in the same situation with their auxiliary gyms and the HVAC not being there. And this would have been the first one, or has any of the second one?
This would be the second.
Who got the first one?
Sun Valley.
Okay. Did they get it as part of their bond project?
It was part of the bond/CIP project.
Okay.
And actually one part of that was we tore down the weight room and which was conditioned, and we were moving that into another space, and we were trying to
They had to use the auxiliary gym for their weight room until they got the new one built.
yeah,
for
the
2
auxiliary
years.
gym and the old cafeteria.
How did people feel about that? Monroe is still getting one of the things that they wanted for 288,750 that we could talk about is a classroom. They want a canopy so that the masonry CTE class can work underneath a canopy. So we can talk about it. I'm just trying to going through like ones that have a lot of different projects that maybe we can take one out, move it, defer it to next year. So if anybody has any.
No, I agree. And they also want their student parking lot repaved, and that's 178.5.
So I guess staff, I mean, is there any project that you see within the ones that you think that are more important than others? We just tried to pick.
And going back to the parking lot, I brought this up in our meeting. I think we should pool together all the student like fees for parking and help pay for that across the board. So having at each individual school, and because some schools have a lot of parking, some don't have a lot of money coming in.
Yeah.
It'd be better to pool that together somehow.
And use that money to, I mean, I
For just
think that if
maintenance of
you
parking
pooled
lots.
all, how many, 11, 10 high schools that we have that do fees, would it pay for one parking lot to be paved?
We'd
Trying
have
to
to,
think. It's been a long time since I looked at parking
yeah, I mean,
fees.
I know certain schools.
Certain schools, but
certain
I'd
schools
say
are gonna
if we
have a
took all
better
10
ability.
schools' parking fees and put it together into a fund, yes?
Yeah, I'm sure the schools would, want to weigh in on that as well. I think it's a good idea in terms of us being able to build some capacity to resurface these parking lots. But I know that the schools like to already have those funds that they accrue designated for something else too.
Well, could we get like the numbers on that? Like maybe for the next
Yes.
meeting?
That would be good.
We've had this discussion before.
Yes, years ago.
And I've never agreed with taking money away from the school because like Matt said, they do use that money for other things that they need throughout the year. So I'm not sure that I would agree with taking the parking fees away from that school to give to another school.
I guess what I was thinking, they can keep a certain percentage of it, but have a certain percentage go to a pool fund for parking maintenance or whatever is my thing. Because if it's used as more like a money, it should be used for flat maintenance of the parking fee and
Right.
structures. So it's my thinking.
Well, it's not the same number of parking spaces at every school either, so.
No, it's not.
And they
Yeah.
don't charge the same amount at each school.
Right, right.
So you can go from a Marvin that has almost 600 parking spots to the older schools that don't have anywhere near those many parking spots. Okay. So is there anything in here that, so you want them to get, do you want them to get the parking information?
I just like to have some numbers, possibly.
Yeah, we've been down that road
Yeah.
before, but we can look at it again. I just, like Mark said, I think we would definitely want our principals to weigh in on that because I think that would be a huge hit to some of our schools because they are responsible for landscaping and maintaining the pine needles and, all the.
Yeah, and stuff like that they could keep for it. I guess my thing is it should be self-sufficient as far as maintaining the parking lot. Like once they pave it for parking.
I just think as soon as we start taking from one school to give to another school, I think it's going to cause a lot of problems.
Or the reversal would be they set aside money instead of coming to CIP in 10 years to have it repaved. They set aside money to have it paved in 10 years.
I think CIP is the right place for paving. Not taking fees away from a school.
Do we pay for the pine needles and stuff?
No,
Um,
the
I mean-
principals, the schools that my children have attended, the principals paid for it out of the money they had.
for the most part.
What does that mean?
Occasionally, we have had to step in and help.
Do
your
they
particular
hire
schools.
our staff, or your staff to put the pine needles on, or
No.
they don't? They do it all on their own? Okay.
Great.
Okay.
That's right.
Do you mind going back to the first page of this document? Okay, what's below CADA? Is that the bottom of the page? So it goes to facilities?
Cuthbertson is between CATA and facilities.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess this document is different than the one we got, and it wasn't on board docs.
So correct. It's not on board docs.
So I don't have an updated copy.
So you may have the right and same information. It's just how it's sorted. So this particular one, we just took out the, what was the A's and the P's and the AP's.
Yes. They don't have the A, JP.
Yeah, this, Melissa, this one, is that what, is it on this?
So the one that I got in our 2-on-2 meeting is different than what's on the screen
Because
today.
they pulled off these things that we talked about.
Okay.
Is that,
And so,
looking at that?
okay, so this.
Yeah, there's only one
where did
change.
this document come from? Because I don't have this either.
So it's all the same document. It's just
Where
how,
did you get this document?
He sent us to all of us.
Okay, in an email,
yes,
but it's not on board docs.
correct.
Okay, I printed everything
Oh, I'm
on
sorry.
board
Okay.
docs. Okay.
And that's the first one that Danny put up that we were talking about. Does anyone have any changes on that one in particular?
Yeah, from what we went through on last Friday, there's only one change, on the entire document. And we will get to it and we'll cover that.
Okay, I'll start printing from my email. Thank you.
Is that what you were looking was on this one?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I just couldn't figure out why my document was different. And then I looked on board docs and what you're showing today is not on board docs. So I just got confused.
Okay, I just used my thing from our 2-on-2s and
Yeah,
then took out the
that's
stuff.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying. That's
yeah.
what I'm using too. And it's different than what's on the
Right,
screen.
yeah, okay,
So
I
then
see.
I went to board docs
Gotcha.
to try and figure out why mine doesn't look
Gotcha.
like the presentation today. And it's not on board docs. So
Right.
I
So,
was just trying to figure out why I didn't have current information.
so just to recap, what we started out with actually this morning and on last Friday was the $44.5 million, item.
Right.
So then this morning we reviewed what we looked at on Friday, which was the morning crew, the afternoon crew, and that tallied about $20 million. So
And
this,
can we go ahead and put this on board docs just in case people are following at home? That would be awesome.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would take off that's the $20.7 million that would take from the 44 6. So that's when I said that that would leave us with 8 million to try to get off of this. So Monroe High School, I would suggest the Aux Gym and the HVAC come off. Is everybody okay with that?
And I guess we need to discuss as a committee too, do we really want to hold ourselves hostage to try and get to 16.5?
I don't think I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think we can
Yeah.
get down to 16.5.
I don't think we can either.
But do we want, okay, so I guess the question then is, and I said at the beginning, do we want to try to find the other
Mhm.
8 million, or do we want to ask them for 24 million, or do we want to try to get down as much as we can, defer what we know we can, and see where we get? I think it will be very difficult to get another $8 million out of this.
I'm struggling to find 8 million.
Uh-huh.
That's why I wanted to talk as a committee. I don't know how we remove $8 million from what we've already removed. And remember how last year we kept a running tally of everything we trimmed? So-
Which is this
Mhm.
right now.
So
And then
I
we're
think-
going here.
I think
Yeah.
we need to hold on to that.
And we need to add whatever we make from today.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
agree with
that
you.
so that the county commissioners can actually
Look at what we
see
pulled off. I agree.
what we trimmed off. These
Totally
are
agree.
our needs,
Right.
but this is what we trimmed off.
So I guess that I would like to start with this document that we went through on 2x2s. And then what I was trying to do is, okay, Cuthbertson track, we can move their track replacement till next year. So that would be 236, 250. We'll do the Marvin one this year and the Cuthbertson next year. Forest Hills, I suggested that the 73,500 for the concrete at the stadium. Is everybody good with that?
Wait, hold on. I had to flip the page.
Sorry.
Forest Hills.
Yep.
And you said remove what part of Forest Hills?
Remove the third thing down. Replace concrete at stadium gym entrance 73,500.
Okay. Just that one?
Yep. And then I went to Hemby and did the storm drainage improvements.
And because we're talking about almost 600,000 for the softball field.
So we have to move, we don't have to do the softball field. We need to move the baseball field because that was our deal. So that's a
Does that have to be?
That's a
done?
Mr. Burnett question.
As far as softball has a drainage issue that we specifically are aware of that we are trying to help.
Okay.
Does it have to be done? This year, no. The baseball field, again, that's one that we do very much want to begin that process of relocating the baseball field.
Is there any savings that if we did the two together?
Certainly, there
really?
would be, yes.
That would be my only question and
Yeah.
how, it's not really that much, right?
Certainly, yeah. It would be as far as mobilization, design, and all those things. Yes, there would
Okay.
be. A
So you're
scale.
working right now to try to fix the drainage at
Yes.
the school?
So, because keep in mind, and we had this discussion in our 2-on-2.
Yep.
Why spend $1.3 million today instead of waiting to find out if we get the bond approved or not? I'm just wondering, why not wait on the softball and baseball field until we see where we go with, the bond ask?
Yeah, what was the time frame for that?
It's 4 years.
4 years? I mean, so yeah, we got time to wait. I mean,
Well,
some time to wait.
assuming
I mean,
everything actually does happen.
Yeah.
And how confident.
And we still have to move the baseball field regardless.
Well,
so.
that's what I was going to say. The baseball field has to move regardless. If there's no bond, if there's no new Forest Hills High School, we are committed to moving that baseball, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to point out,
Yeah.
that's
I know.
$1.3 million.
Oh, yeah.
So we just decide,
Yeah.
we need some help.
Yeah. And
So is the question that you're saying is, should we put the baseball field into the bond project?
baseball and softball.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
And we really loved it when the county was talking about, let's start the design, for the Forest Hills High School, because then we could make sure as far as the master planning and everything, that everything was really nice and synced and worked. And that would be great if that could happen.
Okay.
If we could get that to happen, that would take a lot of pressure off and we could move
Okay.
in that direction. But again, you just have to have confidence that, money's going to come together in the time frame that we need. The sooner that we do the work, the better, the baseball field and softball field, if it's included, that the school will have the benefit of it, and that
Okay.
in that case, the grass is going to get established and things like that. So
Okay.
more flexibility.
So I think then we should pull it off for this year and see and put it into the bond and see where we can go with that.
Just the softball field?
Both.
Oh, both.
And then if we're not next year, right, moving on with the bond and the bond's going on there, we have a decision to make we have to do the baseball field. So, but in a year, we'll know where we are with the bond.
Right.
And
That's what you were saying,
Mhm,
correct? That's
yeah.
what I thought.
And I would say as far as construction time, we did the Porter Ridge baseball field. And that was nice because there was already a baseball field there. This is going to take longer. So I don't want anyone thinking it's going to be
Longer,
that
like
same
a
time.
year?
It shouldn't take that long.
Okay, so we
But
okay.
there's going to be much more substantial, work as far as clearing,
Correct.
grading, grubbing,
Correct.
drainage, and access.
Okay. Okay, so let's put that on the list. Those two, and not put the concrete on it, or put,
No
That's fine.
concrete.
okay, that's good. Okay, next. Hemby Bridge, the storm drainage improvements for 393, 225.
I say take that off.
Yep. Okay. We're gonna leave Kensington on for now, just with a question mark. Thank you, Danny. Good job. Monroe High School, the Ox Gym and the HVAC, the two together are about $450,000.
I would think take those off because we are going to be doing quite a bit of other things if we leave the rest on.
Anybody else? You good with that, Melissa? You good? Okay. So those come on.
How many stadium lights do we have this year?
Two.
Just two. Okay.
We have two every year, right?
We have recently been doing two. I think we added Forest Hills High School this year. So we have three
It's
left.
Marvin Ridge and Forest Hills, right?
So Forest Hills if it's on the list, then we made a mistake.
No, okay, what's the other, so Danny, can you tell us if, I know that Marvin Ridge is on there, what's the other one?
Weddington comes up and
Weddington?
then Cuthbertson comes up in future years.
We have Marble Ridge High this year, update station.
Just Marvin Ridge, okay. It's only one school. Sorry about that.
Did we keep the classroom at 288 on Monroe? Are we keeping that or do we take that off?
The canopy for
Yeah.
masonry,
Is it a classroom or canopy?
It's a canopy that allows the masonry classroom to work outside in inclement weather.
A $300,000 canopy?
It's a big canopy, very structural, as far as,
So it's almost like a shelter, not a canopy.
yeah, it's not a canopy like you would expect at, going from, so yeah, it's not just over sidewalk. It's a big structural element.
I might would put canopy there instead of classroom because if I were a county commissioner and I saw that, I would think, well, why wasn't it in the bond project when we were adding classrooms? So
So I think
or say classroom
I
slash
think
canopy.
yeah, to expand the masonry classroom, I think it's just,
Oh, you know what? My copy doesn't say that.
it doesn't say that in ours, it says it up there. I like that
Okay.
wording better.
Yeah,
But it's
classroom,
really
classroom
it's a
would
roof.
really throw me off
Expand the
if I
roof
was
canopy for the
county.
masonry classroom is what we're trying
Yeah.
to say. Yeah,
Honestly, how does masonry even work in a inside classroom?
how do they work inside of a classroom?
well, it's small, and messy.
Yes.
So yeah, if you can do that outside, that's better. And it gets more people, to be
Yeah.
more active. Of course, you are, always subject to the temperature.
I would like to leave the masonry classroom expanding roof canopy if we could. I think that's a good program.
Oh, absolutely.
I know, yeah.
I don't think it should be classroom because
I agree.
they're going,
I agree. The wording needs to change a little bit.
Yeah, it should
Okay.
not be classroom.
So are you
We
good
call it
with,
a lab space. if we
so are
want
you
to.
good with
I
the
mean,
renovate auxiliary gym, taking that out in the HVAC?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll take those two out. Okay, Monroe Middle
Middle.
School. Does anyone have anything on the middle school?
No.
What about the bleachers? Is that in the auditorium or?
Monroe Middle School bleachers, that's the gymnasium.
Are they,
Just the old wooden ones, right? Or
Yeah,
yeah, they're old.
they're on one side.
They're on one side, like all the old schools.
Yeah.
Okay. Was this deferred? No, this is the first year it's on here. Yeah. How about deferring the bleachers?
How bad are the bleachers?
What?
How bad are the bleachers? I mean, if they're
Um,
wooden, I mean, they're at least 30 years old.
Yeah,
at
this
least.
is the first year that they popped up, but they did move to the front. Danny, do you recall? Let me see if I have some notes on it.
No, they're the old mechanical bleachers, non-motorized. Like
Non-mo.
Matt said, 30 years old, and so they're well used, well loved.
So for everybody who didn't hear what Danny said, they're the non-mechanical bleachers. They're 30 years
Okay.
old,
Are you good with
and
that? Okay.
they've reached their life.
Okay.
And they probably have to have a new coat of either poly or varnish on them every couple of years too. I mean,
Okay. So we'll leave that. Next, Newtown, we took the paint off already. Parkwood High, baseball, softball, field improvement, 630,000. Can we defer that?
Which item for Parkwood High School?
Baseball, softball.
Oh, can we defer it?
Yep.
I think we felt that we could. Yes.
You okay with that? Okay. Let's defer that. Okay, now the big discussion in my book about Parkwood Middle School. Do we want to start doing this? So we took out the 2x2 ceiling grids and lights in the main building for Sun Valley. This would be the reconfigure of the pods and the new lighting for main building. Do we still want to go through with this? $2.9 million.
Wasn't it also putting insulation on the pipes at Parkwood Middle or
A
something?
different item. So we were
Yeah.
trying to package that as a
Yeah.
project since we were going to be above ceiling.
Okay,
I guess can we add everything we're doing to that? Because before it was all separate items, like the 2x2 grids, the lighting.
well, that's included in the reconfigured
Yeah, we were doing
pod.
some, I know, but before it was separated out.
Right.
Now we're doing this, it's separate. So could we add that in all together, kind of what it's replacing? as one
So,
project?
so we could continue to pursue having a package together. The earlier items would just have to wait.
Yeah.
Until this one. And, so
Well, I
that's-
guess what I was saying before, it was all separated out, the lighting, everything. and Now it's together.
Right.
Can we just highlight what it is together on there? Like the 2x2 grids,
That he would like more
What?
description.
more information right there on the
Okay.
2 million.
He wants more
I
description.
don't want to separate out. I just want to,
Okay, well, but let me mention, so we're there, it's two different CIP years. So it's not going to show up on this CIP.
What year is the other stuff from? Previous
I
or,
have to think it's this
future?
current.
Oh, it's current.
This current CIP.
but it's not being done because it was waiting on this?
We were hoping to package them together, yes. Now, if this doesn't happen, then we need to move on with the other, with the other CIP items and
Right.
just go ahead and do it. If this does happen, we then have that opportunity to try to hold off and do it and do them together. But what we really wanted to do last month was to get the design rolling so that we had a better chance and could also take advantage of this summer. But I think, since we've held on that, we probably are losing any opportunity to take advantage of this summer.
I would like to do, and I know that we've pushed about the pods in the middle schools, but right now we have so many needs. This is that it's not that it's not a need, but it's more of a want. This
Okay.
would be really nice if we could do that, but I just think right now we just can't afford to do it. And it's a big number. But I do think that at some point we have to do the 2x2 tiles and the lighting because we do. That is more of a need than a want. So I would like to pull the 2.9 million off because we just don't have the I mean, maybe it would be something nice to put into a bond or something instead of, I mean, that's a big chunk of our CIP.
So for perspective, those are 1975 era schools.
Well, we've got
That's-
three of them,
That's right.
and we're not proposing doing anything to the other two at this time. So, I
I
mean,
think, are they in the 5 years, the other two?
They
schools?
are.
They are,
They are.
yes.
well, I'm talking about if, okay,
Right.
I know they're all three in the 5 year,
Okay.
but if we are trying to get closer to the 16 number instead of the 25
Totally agree.
number, here's three right here, and I don't think it's a need.
Right.
Because you look at the information for Parkwood Middle School, and the forecast is very, very low at Parkwood Middle.
Sure.
So when we look at our other needs, I don't think this is a need.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's a big like Kathy said, it is a big number.
is.
That's $3 million.
That's right. And the point I was going to make is those schools, those three schools, are 45 years old. At some point, we really do need to do a significant renovation, to them. And this would be
I
an opportune time
cannot
to do
disagree
that.
with you, but
I mean, we
for
are-
example, Piedmont Middle, I know we've had this discussion and you've explained that this pod design actually decreases classrooms. But, when you look at a school like Piedmont Middle that has the same pods and it's overcrowded, and we're not proposing anything for that school. So I'm just saying, why would we spend $3 million, just to experiment with, redesigning pods when other schools have other needs?
Okay, so we'll defer that.
Can we put that out possibly as potential other funding sources, either bond or something else?
We
I
could
mean,
look at
because-
that. We need to have the McKibben
Yeah.
report. We need to look at this as a whole and determine what we need on the bonds. But yes, it is a conversation we have to have.
Yeah, because all of us have kids go there. I went to one of those schools that has the pizza shaped classrooms and it's
Yeah.
not easy to
Trivial.
configure. I mean,
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that these projects are on the list is many times we go to the schools and as we tour them and talk to the principals, they mention a concern with these classrooms. They're irregular shaped and they're, hard to accommodate some of the class sizes that they have. And then with COVID, it's only magnified the situation because they're hard to get full capacity. of
I
the room.
cannot disagree with you, but when you're looking at a school that's under capacity versus over capacity, that's when I'm wondering if our priorities are in order.
And this effort, these projects would reduce the capacity of the schools because they take those pie shapes and reconfigure them. So we'd lose a classroom or two. So that's a good point.
I mean, my biggest concern at Piedmont Middle has always been the cafeteria. It is smaller than Parkwood and Sun Valley. And we have a lot of kids there.
I think it's wise we get the McKibben report updated with the latest information and then we make some
Absolutely.
decisions moving forward.
Okay, so we're going to defer that.
Did we want to get the numbers for the 2x2 tiles and the lighting, or just take the whole thing, just table the whole thing?
Table it.
yeah, I
Okay,
would table it.
okay.
Because if we're going to
So-
do it, it made no sense to do the tiles and come back and take them out and redo the tiles
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah, the
Okay.
2x2 grid and ceiling, that's already funded. So the lighting is something that, since you're going to be replacing the ceiling grid and ceiling, that's why that's an opportune time to do the lighting. From memory, which is a bad thing, I think we were in the neighborhood of $370,000 for lighting. For the
So we
main
have the
building
money
of it.
for Parkwood Middle for the 2x2 tiles.
That's
in the
already
CIP.
funded.
So if you could figure out what the lighting would cost, that's something we would have to discuss. Because if we are doing the 2x2, if we're going to do the 2x2s, it would be the right time to do the electrical too. Is that what you were? Okay. Yep. Okay, so can you get that for us? And maybe we'll put that back in.
And not to mention too, the lighting will be designed for a triangle shaped room versus a square shaped room. So, I mean, I don't think you can,
All right.
we need to decide what we're doing exactly. So,
But we had in here Sun Valley's 2x2s and electrical, and we weren't doing the pods yet.
It's a need I think at all those, that prototype. And that's really what kind of kicked off, this, a couple of years ago was, hey, if we're going to be doing that work, do we want to do the pods? It's kind of how that all started.
I know we all started that discussion about the pods, definitely. I just think that right now we have, $44 million worth of needs and wants. We're just trying to figure out what the order of it goes.
Yeah.
Okay. So where are we now? What else?
Okay, so the Sun Valley Middle is 945,000.
And we already
To-
took that off.
Yeah, to do, well, I was just thinking the
Yeah.
number. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
so
it's,
is that the price?
yeah,
You're right,
so it's
sorry.
almost $1 million, 945,000 to do 2x2
Sun-
ceiling grids and lighting.
In the main building.
Mm-hmm. So that's an approximate number.
Okay, so next is on my list is the PDC. Does the chiller and the VAVs, whatever that is, have to be done this year?
We can, I think we wanted to replace the chiller and we can hold off on the VAVs.
what was the VAV again?
Variable air volume. It's
Okay.
the device is going to be above ceiling.
So what would that change to pricing wise?
Danny, I'm drawing a blank on that. Is that about 125,000?
Yes.
Okay, that's right, 125. So that would be $125,000 to keep the chiller.
Okay, so instead of 787,500, it would be 125,000.
Yes.
Okay, I'm good with that. Everybody else? Okay,
125 is for what?
the
For the
chiller,
chiller.
Just the chiller?
just the chiller.
Oh, wow. VAVs cost that much?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. The chiller, the concern was it, crossing our fingers, I think it will last this summer. I think we already had a compressor issue with it, but no confidence that it will last beyond that.
And the server network equipment,
Separate.
that's separate, right?
Separate,
Good.
That was already done, right?
Yep.
Yep.
It's ongoing.
Are we good with that?
Some of that work.
For the PDC, 125,000 will stay in there for the replaced chiller. The next school that I go to, so we already did Piedmont Middle. We took out the play fields on the sheet, the separate sheet. We go to, I go to maybe Prospect. Does anyone have anything before that?
Sorry, what was that about Piedmont?
Okay, so the design is in there for the, perfect, okay. 78,750.
That is the new item that I told you.
Right,
We
that's-
added one item.
So they need to replace the track at Piedmont, but they need to do an 8 lane, from a 6 lane to an 8 lane. So we put the money in to design it because it's going to have to shift a little bit in the stadium to put the 8, and then next year's CIP would include to the construction or the cost of the track. Okay. Anybody else? I go to Prospect. Is Porter Ridge High, is Porter Ridge Middle, anything there? Prospect, renovate the kitchen for 780, what is it?
$708,000.
Does that have to be done this year?
We think that can be pushed.
We can defer that. Is everyone good with that?
Which one?
Renovate kitchen for Prospect, 708, 750.
$708,000?
Yeah, right there, right where Danny's little plus is, right there. On mine, it's on the next page at the top. Yeah, it's like all by itself. Yes, yes.
Okay,
That's why I figured we could take something out.
yeah. Okay.
Anything else at Prospect?
No.
I just want to say the canopies are needed at Prospect.
Are they?
Yeah,
Okay,
especially on rainy days.
okay. So the kitchen is, okay, let's see, what comes next? Rocky River, the install of the 200 kW PV array, what is that first?
Okay, so certainly a nice to have, not a need. This is a 200 kW. It's a photovoltaic solar array,
Okay,
and we'll probably just continue to ask for this,
Okay.
in the future. As far as what you would expect is that would be that's sized to handle the electrical load. For the, probably don't need to go into that kind of detail, but it's just under the threshold of having to deal with any kind of selling back, to the power company.
okay,
It would be it's sized so that it would
Okay.
handle the load,
load.
electrical load, at a particular time.
okay,
It can be lower, it can be a lower cost because you just design it to whatever funding you have.
Have we looked at any grants or anything, pursuing anything for that?
Yes. So we have Western Union Elementary received a grant from Union Power to do just a demonstration array, really small, and we've helped with that. I think we have one or two more elementary schools that are looking into that as well. So those are small scale things, but they are out there and available.
I don't know if there's any federal, state level.
Well, that's NC Green Power.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a state program with some help.
Yeah.
Do any of our other schools have this array?
Oh, no.
So
not,
none of our schools have this.
Yeah, this is unique. This is a fantastic teaching tool. This is a
How
showing
did
the
you
public
choose Rocky River to get it?
its solar orientation and its roof
Okay.
angle, and it was designed originally
Oh,
you know,
okay.
to have a solar array on it.
we discussed the solar thing at Rocky River when we got the money back from Monroe a couple of
check.
years ago about solar
Mhm.
panels and stuff, interesting, okay,
So it's all as far as setup, it's set up for a solar array. And as are, we have a couple other schools that are set up. That one just for the utility, that's there as far as, those costs. When you look at this, it does have a payback, so the payback, and we'd have to see the latest because solar power continues to drop in cost, which is great. And you expect that just off the, shooting from the hip as far as payback, it's probably 15 years. The solar panels, there's an amount of degradation that occurs, but you definitely get more than 15 years. I think you easily get 30, plus maybe 40. But of course, there will be some inefficiencies that occur over that amount of time.
So are we going to take this one off?
yes.
Okay.
I would suggest it, I'm not,
Yeah, we'll just put it on the
Put it on the list.
so they'll see what we took off.
okay, Sandy Ridge update, so we have a bunch of schools with upgrade controls that didn't start us, is little stuff. Shiloh Valley Primary, the RTU replacements,
Rooftop
what's
unit.
that?
Rooftop units?
Oh, rooftop units. Okay, so that's a need.
Yes.
Okay. South Providence, HVAC to gym and flooring. These were deferred a year ago. The total is 262.5. Yep.
It's still a good candidate to push, especially, with, the discussion of replacing, the
The
facility.
school. Okay, so we can take those, defer those. Everybody good with that? Okay. Sun Valley Middle School I don't have anything installing. Wait a minute. Sorry. Stallings. Sun Valley High. Sun Valley High. I don't have. 105.
What about Sun Valley Middle to re-insulate the pipes? Is that a priority?
Yeah, that's the similar item from Parkwood. So it is, but it is something that has been pushed back in the past, and we think it can continue to be pushed.
Okay.
The
What
ceiling
about-
grids will still have little brown spots on them though.
What about the cafeteria kitchen at Sun Valley Middle? Can that be deferred?
We think it can, yeah.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Well,
Flipping pages, trying to keep up with the conversation. So did we say we're taking off re-insulate pipes? We're taking that off?
yeah,
Okay, so now we'll flip the page and go to the next list. Okay, what did you just recommend, Kathy?
Well, I got a question.
The cafeteria kitchen for
The grease trap, is that required?
415.
Well, certainly everything that's new that we would be doing would require a
And again,
grease
I
trap.
don't know how
It says
that's
add
up,
a
so-
grease trap, and I don't know if that is really replace a grease trap. That's something we can look at.
Okay,
Okay,
because you don't want your grease trap to.
Yeah.
Fail.
Right.
so
I was just inquiring about the grease trap,
Okay.
what it is, replacement, new. I mean, that's something you don't want
okay,
to let go or.
right. I have anything with Union. Okay, Union Elementary, the replace UVs. Building
Those
one.
are unit ventilators.
Those are the unit that they need to be replaced. Okay. So a grease trap, add grease trap, okay. Unionville, Little, various land purchase, next. Various. So all the various stuff is stuff we've always had. The big numbers are the roofing. We put that in every year. More replace security cameras and things like that. For furniture and equipment, we always need that. So I go to Waxaw. So 80, okay, so they have buildings, replace flooring, building 204, and replace flooring and wall tile in the original restrooms. Is that something, one of the two can happen without the other one?
As far as the flooring, we think that the flooring can get pushed back.
Did we take the ADA issues at ball fields off?
It's zero.
Well, only because they didn't have a price for it.
Oh,
Yeah, so, and we have been out at the school, and we've met, we think that we can do what we need to do outside of the CIP.
Okay,
okay,
so just remove that.
okay. Okay, so then, what else is there? Anything?
So then flooring, a lot
Flooring.
of flooring.
Flooring for 204 and then Weddington High's flooring. What?
We've got about $425,000 worth of flooring at Waxaw.
So should we do one of the two things? Should we take out the replace flooring building wide, but still do the flooring and wall tiles in the original restrooms? Because those would be old.
Yeah, and that's a different type of
Right,
material.
stuff, right.
I mean, there's sense to that.
But yeah, I'm open to. The other flooring is Weddington flooring, Weddington High flooring.
And we think that, that can also get, that can
For
also get
four
pushed.
forty-one in Weddington. We can defer that. So can you tell us where we are through Weddington?
What did we decide on Waxaw?
I would like to pull off the replace flooring schools wildwide, but lead in the bathrooms. But I'm open to anything. I'm not. Yeah, can you defer Weddington? Yeah. Are you guys
And
with?
the Wesley Chapel boiler, we didn't have a price for that either. So is that a need or just some, like what's going on there?
Is that, I mean,
Oh, it's flooding of the boiler.
that's- yeah, and that's, unfortunately, we haven't determined a solution. We have the problem and
Is that
don't have a
down
solution.
underneath in the
I think
basement?
so,
Yeah.
yeah. It simply could be, it could be as simple as we do a large canopy, over that whole area. And we could just price that, and if we can come up with anything cheaper than that, then, we go with it.
We're at 14.9. 15. So we can add more stuff in.
Yes.
So I guess I would like, and you guys, I think that we've gone through a lot of this. This is good if Danny can send us the document that we just did, plus the other document, and combine them somehow. Would be great. This one, the one from our sponsors with these, everything that we did first, and then at our next meeting, we go through if there's anything you want to add back in, or anything that staff wants to look at to add back in, and we can go from there. Does that sound like a good plan?
So, you're asking for this, what we've done today to be emailed to us?
Yeah, and then we'll put it on board docs for the next meeting.
Right.
Okay.
And
And
then we can decide, and after everybody has a few weeks to look at it again, and we can decide if we need more stuff, and, which projects we think may be, and I would like to hear from staff as well.
Yes, if we could come back with some items that would be high on our priority list, that would be good for us as well.
yeah, and just to explain how we sorted it. So today, everything that you've, have considered for pushing back the year, that's shown as an F. Yeah, so all the items are still there,
That was today.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll be able to see everything we did Friday. You'll be able to see everything we did
Did you
before
color code
Friday.
the F?
Can you take the yellows out?
Yes, we'll take out the yellows and the greens.
Could you color code the F as like a certain color, or we can see what was deferred exactly?
Does everyone think that's a good
I
plan?
do.
Yeah.
What color do you want?
Okay.
Pink is, I don't care. I mean,
That was a good exercise, though, to walk through what you were doing. Okay. So, next is the stadium capacities. We have some questions from the public and from our state legislators regarding, the capacities of our stadium. So, we put that up there yesterday. Sorry, I need this on. The governor's executive order limited spectators in our stadiums to 100. And that's what the North Carolina High School Athletic Association is using as well. And maybe, Melissa, you want to speak to yesterday, our contingent of legislators yesterday with respect to the stadium capacities?
I wasn't prepared to
Oh,
speak
sorry.
on it.
Okay, I can talk. Do you want me-
But our 3 state representatives and Senator Todd Johnson did put forth 2 bills yesterday. One that would address attendance across the state, and then a local bill for Union County public schools, or Union County in general. So we'll see where that goes, but we're extremely appreciative to Representative Dean Arp, Mark Brody, David Willis, and Senator Johnson on hearing the parents who have put out petitions and working with our parents and addressing, that we could certainly allow parents to
Both of
see
them,
their student
right.
athletes at their games.
So the information's out there. There's a local bill, like Mrs. Merrill said, the local bill doesn't have to go to does not go to the governor for signature. The statewide bill would have to go to this governor for approval. So that's the difference. Anything else on that? Next is Town of Marvin Act. Mr. Burnett.
Okay, and board docs, there were many items on this and several attachments. The town of, the village of Marvin, and the village planner and zoning administrator had provided a letter, which is in there. They're asking if the board has any, if the board would consider voluntary annexation for the Sandy Ridge Elementary School, the Marvin Ridge Middle and High School properties, voluntary annexation into the village of Marvin. What they're hoping to have as benefits, from that on their side is that it would give them access to another neighborhood, specifically for the middle and the high school. Really not necessary for the elementary school, but the middle school and high school, they would then be able to reach another neighborhood that they could then annex. And with the additional revenues from this and other future annexations, they have a greenway greenway scheme, greenway concept plan that they are pursuing, and that's the gist of the request. As far as any benefits to the Board of Education, other than any kind of benefits of the greenway or something like that, we don't pay taxes. It doesn't matter it won't matter to the board whether you're in the town or not. You would be susceptible. You would be under their requirements for planning and zoning and things like that. They do note in here that that they have an ordinance in place currently that says that they will do whatever the county requirements are as far as planning and zoning with regard to schools. That was an initiative that was undertaken 10, 12 years ago after, it was one set of rules, for the schools. But each town, has to adopt, those rules. And the village of Marvin, did that previously. So it's for the question I'm asking you all, if there is interest, we certainly can pursue, the necessary steps that it would take to do that. If there is no interest, I certainly can respond back to the village and let them know what the preference was.
With the greenway they're proposing or expanding, how close would it be to the existing schools?
So it's a whole network, and it includes it may be sidewalks that are on a road. In fact, quite a bit of it is. One of the attachments does go into their greenway plan, and it appears to be extensive. But again, much of that is along roads and sidewalks, and there's also an attachment at the last one, which kind of describes what those greenways are, whether it's a sidewalk or whatever it is.
And the other question, the neighborhood below that would connect that they want to annex, do they want to be annexed?
I don't know that.
That'd be, they can't annex without their permission anyway. So, I don't really see.
Yeah, that's the conceptual greenway plan. If you look down, well, if you guys don't mind me standing up and pointing. This is Marvin Ridge High School, Middle School. This is Sandy Ridge here. There's so I just pointed out to where Marvin Ridge Middle School and High School were. There's a subdivision that's to the north, and this is our property. This is the subdivision that they would like to have access to. This is where they are. So they're very close to it, but it's not, it doesn't actually touch. And so that's one of the points that they're making. Now they certainly can. There's another map that shows where their properties are, where the town limits are. And so Danny, if you can get this one, it's the future land use map. It's this one. So you can see here's the subdivision, here's the middle school, high school, and there's their current town limits. They can be moving this way. They currently don't have access, to that. And I think they would be able to move maybe a little bit quicker.
So how much school property are they asking?
Well, they're asking for the Sandy Ridge property and the Marvin Ridge Middle and High School property, and they would just annex the whole parcel. Yeah, if we voluntarily. That's right.
Do we have any other schools that are, Marvin Elementary is in Marvin?
It is, yeah, you can see it on that.
Ones, right?
We probably had to annex in when we were developing it.
And I don't think Hemby Bridge is in Hemby Ridge.
Often, and certainly in the past, if we weren't required to, we don't pursue it because it's an additional set of rules and regulations. And we do like to be, especially in the past, the county, because we wanted one set of rules.
But does the ordinance that they talk about in the letter, that takes care of that?
It does. Yeah, so they've adopted what the county
In
has.
perpetuity?
In perpetuity, that's what I was going to say. Can we, and I'm not saying that I'm for this, but if we were to annex in, could we have a rule where we can also succeed from it if we don't like it anymore?
That's not me.
I looked at Michelle when I said it. And she's giving me the, I mean, exactly. It may not be in perpetuity and it's easier just to
Well, I
deal
think
with.
they need us for contiguous boundaries. They can't annex without us expanding. And then who knows if the people in the neighborhoods want to be.
They may not want
annexed.
it, right?
Yeah, and I mentioned first Sandy Ridge. They actually don't need Sandy Ridge because they can annex the chimneys.
Because it's
at
contiguous
Marvin.
already, yeah. What?
Yeah, they
I was
can.
thinking that too. It looks
Yes,
like
it's already
they have
there.
Marvin to connect to it. Marvin area.
So do we have any interest in looking at this or do we take a vote or what do we do?
Says information, right?
Right, but he
That's
said, should the
Yeah.
committee have interest in pursuing? I don't, I'll speak, I don't have any interest in pursuing this.
I don't have any interest really. I mean, because we don't know what the neighborhoods want anyway. I mean,
Right,
we don't know if we're getting perpetuity for the zoning ordinances and potential building codes in the future would be the other thing.
Yep.
So
And
since this is not my arena either, so let's say we were to agree to an annexation, like in the future, if we wanted to do something on our property, would we have to ask them first or would they participate?
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
it would be them instead of the county.
Well, what about Marvin? Is it currently under county rules or is it under?
Marvin
Marvin
Elementary School
Elementary.
is in the village limits.
So we're,
No.
No.
it would mean that we would be inside their municipality and subject to their rules instead of the county. So like, I live in Wesley Chapel, we had an annexation, so my house is in Wesley Chapel, and you pay a little more property tax, but we don't pay, as a school system, we don't pay property taxes, so that's not an issue. But the reason that people don't annex in is because there's a separate village or town property tax, and that's why people don't do it.
And there's,
So like the people that live next door to me are not in Wesley Chapel because they didn't annex in. Our house was there when we got it, but that's why it's different getting residents to move to annex into it because it's
well, here's another more important issue, I think. When you're under their jurisdiction, the zoning ordinances affect you. They can set up an ordinance where you can't cut trees down. You have to go to them to cut a tree down sometimes, or something like that, depending. So that's the other thing.
I think that would be taking our elected positions away from us if we had to go to them to ask permission to do something on our school property.
Well, we have to go through the county now. Their
Well,
zoning, but
But the county actually
Yeah.
holds our purse strings too.
yeah.
So we have a financial obligation to the county, but I can't imagine having an obligation to a municipality or a village. So I don't,
And yeah.
So I think those are, no. Okay. Yeah. Instruction update.
Okay. Many milestones were crossed at the Sun Valley High School campus. Occupancy permits were achieved at numerous locations. So that includes the chorus drama area, the old admin area, the stadium. This was a little bit ago. The weight room, and so currently, the work that's underway is rather miscellaneous. We do have everything is being used for its intended purpose, with the exception of the auditorium, and that's one that's been on, I don't want to say on hold, but we are still pursuing to do a change order, and that's and the ceiling of the auditorium. Contractor has been ready and able to put the seating in, but if we're going to do the work above ceiling, we don't want the seats in, and so that's kind of where we are with Sun Valley. And then give a long list of roofing projects and where their status is. We have several that have just passed the permitting stages, and we're scheduling either pre-construction meetings or we're scheduling start dates on those. And several other projects, roofing projects, are in the finishing stages where we're just waiting on really a ladder, at several of them. From
Question to,
one to another.
South Providence says NCDPI. Is that insurance or instruction?
It's Department of Public Instruction. So our plans go to school planning, which is a division of NCDPI. And they, in addition to those projects that qualify, that go to NCDOI, which is Department of Insurance. So the bigger projects, there's a square foot limit. I think it's 20,000 square feet of new construction has to go to NCDOI and NCDPI school planning. Yeah, Piedmont High School, it's kind of we'll be shifting our attention there. Good work going on. The bleachers were supposed to have, the bleachers themselves were supposed to have finished up yesterday. Hopefully that did happen. I don't know if they didn't, if it's going to finish today or not. We still have the flat work that has to occur there. And then I've got some pictures of the locker rooms, the old locker rooms under construction. And then the other picture that you see is the concession building, which is over by the softball field. And we have some other projects that we note that are in design phase, and many HVAC projects that are kind of wrapping up. So if there's any questions on that, I can try to answer.
So we've had a lot of rain.
Yes.
Has anyone been out to Porter Ridge High School to see how the baseball field is doing?
So I've
If
asked.
if it's working the way it was designed to work?
I haven't asked recently, but I did ask previously a couple times, and everyone was really happy with it. And I'm not hearing anything.
I know originally when we were getting started, a lot of the baseball community over there was concerned about keeping the baseball in that current location because I think it was in a floodplain or something.
Right at the edge.
Yeah, so
I would imagine
with-
if we've had any issues, we would have heard from
Yeah.
the principal.
Definitely.
So-
I was just curious, if anyone from your staff had been over there to, because with all this rain, it would have been a great opportunity.
I'll follow up with her today.
Okay, thank you.
What was the
Oh.
Parkwood Middle School site improvements again?
I heard Parkwood Middle School.
Yeah.
What else? What's
It's
the
the
question?
site improvements. What was that for?
Which one are you on, Matt?
Page 2, underneath the pictures.
Oh,
Yeah, I was just
okay.
asking what school. I didn't
Oh, yeah,
know.
Parkwood Middle.
right. The site improvements, if you're familiar with that, the circulation, vehicular circulation, it has always been problematic. We are trying to address that further and to try to accommodate more cars, on our property as opposed to you continuing to back out onto Parkwood School Road. So it's modifying the parking lot. It's increasing the stacking distances. We are relocating their basketball courts, which they use them for many different things, but that's up at the front of the road, and that's going to get relocated back to a safer location. And some parking modifications. We are trying to encourage those and make it more possible and feasible for people to actually park in the parking lot. People don't want to park in the parking lot because they'll get trapped, with the, afternoon. And so we usually have a very large, somewhat empty parking lot and everybody else parking elsewhere. So we're trying to address that so that, we get them where they should be parking.
Can I ask a question? So the stadium lighting, which is what we were just talking about also, right, for the CIP. So Monroe is done, Forest Hills is done, Porter Ridge is done, Parkwood's done.
Yep.
Piedmont's
We did
done.
3 last year.
That's
That's
right.
what happened.
Okay.
When we did Monroe's track, we decided to do the lights or something happened that we did 3 last year, and that's why there's only 1 this year.
And I'm
Yeah.
assuming Sun Valley.
Sun Valley got theirs
Right.
when they
The
had
So
the
then we
bond.
only have 3 more.
We only have 3 left.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's been a good effort because all the stadiums needed the lights replaced. The way we did it is we prioritized the order by doing foot candle readings at every stadium and figured out which was the worst and which was, not
What are the
not as
3
bad.
left?
It's Cuthbertson, Marvin Ridge, and Weddington High School.
And Marvin is this year, so then Cuthbertson and Weddington will be next year.
Yeah, and I'd have to look at those future years to make sure which year, but yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on the construction update?
No.
Okay, next is the change order update. Does anyone have any questions on that?
No.
Okay, surplus, that's FYI. Does anyone have any question on that? No. Building and zoning permits, same thing, FYI. And I had thought that H had already been removed from the agenda. Mr. McKibben is not coming today to discuss the forecast present. We hope to have it at the board meeting in March, but we'll keep everybody up to date on that. Okay, so if there's nothing else, the next meeting is March 18th, but we will more likely have one before that. We need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A1 to prevent the disclosure, wrong one. 143-318-11A3 to consult with an attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. And pursuant to NCGS 143-318-10 and 11 to review minutes from prior closed session meetings.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye.